There is so much misguided information out there about food addiction and about how to get free from the overeating and obsessing cycle that I wanted to create this video busting 5 major myths about food addiction, some of which you might currently be under the influence of, so that you can get the information that you need to truly get on your path of freedom from food, where you enjoy food, but you don't overeat, where you trust yourself to make healthy choices and you're naturally guided to foods that feel good in your body, and you do not obsess and think about food all the time. Yes, this is absolutely possible. So if that's what you want to know more about, then make sure to stick around. So I'm going to be getting into all of that. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you a free resource to outline for you what to do instead to actually get on your path of lasting freedom from food addiction and food obsession. And speaking of getting free from food addiction and food obsession, I want to invite you to a really popular free online training that we've done a few times in my Facebook community with rave reviews. So we're bringing it back. It's called the End Your Food Obsession 7-Day Virtual Training. In this training, I'm going to be teaching you these 7 keys to having lasting freedom from food addiction, so that by the end of the training, you're going to know exactly what to do and what not to do in order to end your food obsession for good, to trust yourself to make healthy choices, and to feel comfortable in your skin. So this training is happening January 22nd to the 29th, 2022 in my Facebook group. So if you're watching this in real time, you can actually click the link in the description below to join us for free, endyourfoodobsession.com. And if you're listening to this after January 29th, 2022, no worries. I still highly recommend that you click that link and you come and join us in the Facebook group, because I do this training a few times a year, so you will be in the right place when we do it next time. And I also do regular insider discussions in the Facebook group on the very topics that we talk about on this YouTube channel. So it's a really great place to go deeper and to get more. And in case you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Debbie Lichter, food addiction expert and founder of the Freedom Embodied Academy, where I help high-achieving women who know what to do when it comes to food, but who still struggle with the sabotage cycle, have actual lasting freedom from food addiction and food obsession, so that you can feel comfortable in your skin and authentically shine your light in the world. And everything that I share in these videos is part of what actually helped me to get free from my food addiction and food obsession over a decade ago, and the things that I have been teaching women ever since to help them get on their path of freedom too. Okay, so let's dive in. So there's a couple of really controversial myths, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, but let's start off with this one. Myth number 1, all food addicts are fat. And, I also hear that also all anorexics and bulimics are underweight. So let's just get something straight, is that people of all shapes and sizes can have a food addiction or have eating disorders. I personally was chubby as a kid, but then I had kind of a normal weight range for the next 2 decades that I was horribly addicted to and obsessed with food, binging and restricting. And, I was using over exercise and diet pills and diuretics, and even at one point drugs, in order to control and curb my appetite. And even though from the outside I looked like I was in a normal weight range, I certainly was not healthy at all. So this myth right here is super, super important. It actually ties into myth number 5. So make sure to stick around for that one. Okay, myth number 2. Food addiction is when you are addicted to processed foods and or sugar. So I know there are many people who believe this. So let me just say this, is that food addiction can be when you are addicted to processed foods and sugar, but it can also be being addicted to unprocessed foods, sugar-free foods, and healthy foods. I am a perfect example of this. I could binge on, a sheet of brownies, but I also could binge on bags and bags of steamed vegetables or salad and cottage cheese or a whole roasted chicken. For me, the addiction was all about binging and feeling full and then trying to control my food and obsessing about what to eat. In other words, food addiction is so much more than just the actual food. If you want to know more about that, I recommend that you watch this video next. I go into way more detail about all of that. I will leave a link to that video in the description below. Okay, myth number 3. The solution for food addiction is to abstain from sugar, flour, and wheat and other processed foods. So again, I know this is a widely practiced belief that people stick to religiously. I stuck to this religiously in the beginning of my journey. And I feel like if someone had told me during that time that abstinence is not the solution for freedom from food addiction, I would have thought, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't actually have a real food addiction. That's what I would have thought. So I know talking about this can be controversial. And let me also say that I'm not telling you to go out and eat a bunch of sugar or a bunch of processed foods. I'm always a fan of whatever actually works in your body. But the reason why I want to bust this as a myth is that abstaining from sugar or abstaining from processed foods or going on keto or intermittent fasting or any other food-focused strategy is just addressing the symptom of a problem and not the actual problem itself. The problem itself is what is driving us to food in the first place, which is an internal state of discomfort and dis-ease that drives us to seek an external source of ease and comfort. And that external source of ease and comfort is found oftentimes in food. And so unless we actually address that internal state of discomfort and dis-ease, we will continue to go to food for that external source of ease and comfort. Or if we're sticking to some kind of rigid, strict food plan, then we'll just develop another addiction, right? We'll just go to shopping or screen time or, being busy or drinking for that external source of ease and comfort. This is why, if you want true freedom from food, that you need to address and get free from the things that are driving you to use food addictively, which is something I'm going to go into a little bit more at the end of this video. Because once you do and you get free from the compulsion and the addiction to eat, you will be restored to a state of normalcy and neutrality with food, all food. This does not mean that you have to eat all foods in order to be free. It means that you are freed up to eat the foods that work in your body, that you enjoy, without any complication, without a bunch of food rules, without restriction, and without the obsession. Okay, myth number 4 is food addicts are just lazy or just need to be educated on healthy eating and lifestyle changes. So anyone who has struggled with food addiction knows that this is just simply not true. In fact, most food addicts that I talk to are practically nutrition experts. They've done so much research, and many of them actually are health and nutrition experts. I mean, I was a health and fitness expert when I was in the peak of my food addiction. When you struggle with food addiction, it's not that you're lazy or you lack health knowledge. It's that in the moment, you don't care. You just want what you want. The feeling is overpowering. It's overwhelming. The urge to eat completely blots out any argument why you shouldn't. This is why getting free from food addiction is not about just gaining more self-knowledge and nutrition information. It truly is about addressing and getting free from what is driving you to food in the first place. Okay, myth number 5. If people close to you, like a family member or a partner or a friend, tell you that you don't have a problem, then you don't have a problem. So I say that this is connected to myth number 1 because oftentimes if you're not super overweight or super underweight, people tend to think and say that you don't have a problem. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of this, you know how infuriating and invalidating and confusing it can be. And all you want to do is explain to them how you do have a problem, but then you're angry that you have to explain it and you don't want to have a problem. You just want the problem to go away. So let's just get one thing straight. No one is in your head and no one can tell you whether or not you have a problem. Now, if you're not sure whether or not you have a problem, I will leave a couple of video links in the description box below for you to check out so that you can get more clarity. But people have a million reasons why they try to tell you that you don't have a problem. Sometimes it's due to guilt. Sometimes it's due to them wanting to minimize it so the problem goes away. Sometimes it's due to them wanting to make you feel better or them just simply not understanding what's going on for you. But if you're surrounded by people who don't get you or whose comments feel unsupportive on any level, I highly recommend that you join a community of like-minded people who struggle in similar ways that you struggle, who you can be real with, who totally get you, and who will not judge you. We actually have that in our Congruence Collective Facebook group. I will leave a link for that in the description below if you're interested in coming to check it out. Okay, so which of these myths do you feel like has been affecting you the most? Go ahead and post a comment below. And remember, no judgment here. This is all about just getting honest and getting to the truth so that we can truly get on our path of lasting freedom from food. Okay, so now that we've busted some major myths about food addiction, let's talk about what to do instead to get on your path of ending the overeating and obsessing cycle for good. So you've already heard me talking about addressing what is driving you to food in the first place. But sometimes that has people start to fixate on finding that one thing and figuring it out. And that takes people into a lot of distraction and obsession. So let me just say this, is that in my experience, there are usually multiple drivers that are driving us to food that actually affect us in body, mind, and spirit, things that we're not even aware of in our day-to-day lives. For example, maybe on a spiritual level, we feel fear or resentment or blame or shame or regret or remorse or grief or guilt or just that feeling of not being okay and not knowing why. Or on a physical level, maybe we feel unsafe or we feel disconnected from our bodies or we just aren't sure what we feel inside. Or, on a mental level, maybe we feel lost or we feel insecure or we just have that sense of not knowing who we are. And all of these things contribute to that underlying state of discomfort and dis-ease inside. But the good news is that there is a proven pathway of addressing all of these things at the same time and actually being guided in how to cultivate an internal state of ease and comfort that completely eradicates the need to go outside of you for that external source of ease and comfort. This is what has us getting free from food addiction. This is what has the food problem completely fall away. So if you want to know more about what that proven pathway is and how to get on it right away, I will leave a link for a free resource in the description box below, the Freedom from Food Addiction Clarity Guide. It goes into way more detail about all of that. And for those of you interested in the End Your Food Obsession 7-day virtual training, I'm going to go into way more depth about that proven pathway there. So again, if you're listening to this in real time, go ahead and click the link in the description box below and come and join us for free. So now that we've busted some common beliefs about food addiction, I hope it's helping you to feel more understood with your own struggle and also clearer on what your path of true freedom actually looks like. So if you want to go deeper into what food addiction is or identifying if you might have food addiction, I recommend that you watch this video next, and I will leave a couple more video links in the description box below. And again, if you got some value here today, please do give this video a like, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.